What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNudes.com, and welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby horse previews. All right, let's go to East Avenue now. A horse that at one time, early on in his 2-year-old career, I kind of thought this might be my Kentucky Derby pick, or at least my future Kentucky Derby pick, or at least one that would be on the radar. Now, maybe not so much, but let's take a look at it, and maybe we can make some cases for him here. 2 starts this year. He does have 1 second, 5 starts overall, 2 first, a second, no thirds. All right, let's get to what happened, and we'll kind of review it. For those that don't know, his 2 races to start his career were just flawless. He won a maiden special weight at Ellis in an ultra impressive fashion. He went to the Claiborne Breeders Futurity at Keeneland and just dominated again. And he went in as a pretty strong favorite of 4-5, I believe was the final price, or maybe it was 6-5. I can't quite remember, but he went in as a strong favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And that's when the disaster kind of struck for him. He fell out of the gate there, stumbled badly. A horse that likes to be in front was all of a sudden way back in the back, made no run whatsoever. And so that was kind of the start of his issues. So a disaster there, but an excuse for the disaster. And then came back and ran in the Risen Star 2 races back to make the 3-year-old debut. It was tracking the leader Magnitude that day perfectly. I thought he was in a really good spot. You know, he broke cleanly, got out of the gate well. He was right there where you kind of want a horse to be. Now, Magnitude ran a huge race that day, and I don't know that East Avenue could have beaten him no matter what, but East Avenue just kind of quit at the top of the stretch and faded to run 10th that day. So it was just bad. You know, it was just a really bad effort. Maybe the horse was short. Maybe the horse just, wasn't quite ready to run. So you go back to the Bluegrass. That was the last race back on April 8th. And this time did get out of the gate. This time did make some progress, I thought. Kind of, quote unquote, back to his old self. Got to the front, tried to take him gate to wire, went pretty fast up front, tried to get away from them. The only problem was when they hit the stretch, he still kind of idled a little bit. He was probably a little tired. He ran hard early. And he just didn't quite have that kick, and he allowed some other horses to get into that race. You felt like with that trip, you might see him back to his old self, and you might see him get the job done, but he did start to fade pretty bad down the lane. He still almost won, though, because the other horses behind him weren't doing a whole lot of running either, except for Burnham Square, who did get up and get the job done right at the wire. So, look, I think the positive is that's the best race by far out of the last 3. The Toyota Bluegrass was a solid race for him. So I am happy to see that. But is he kind of back to who we kind of thought he could be? I'm not quite sure. And that's when you get into the negative, all kinds of, just a stumble and then a race where he just didn't quite show up with his best effort. There's just all kinds of question marks. He is rounding back into good form. But like I said, when you get to the negative, it's like, okay, he did run better, but was it, it was that much better, but is it good enough to now go on and win the Kentucky Derby? And that's when you get a little skeptical. At least I get a little bit skeptical. As far as the pedigree goes, Medaglia d'Oro out of a Ghost Zapper mare, we're good. We're good at 1.25 miles. Shouldn't be any problem whatsoever there. I think we're going to be fine as far as that goes. So, look, can this horse kind of rebound? Can this horse continue to rebound, I should say? That's going to be the big question mark coming into this one. I do think from a pace standpoint, it's important that he's in the race, and I think for closers, if you're supporting a closer, you really hope that he doesn't do something like stumble out of the gate or just, has problems where he can't get up to the lead. Because I do think for a hot pace, you've got to count on him. He needs to be there with it, up there with Rodriguez, with Owen Almighty, with, whoever else you might think. East Avenue needs to be there as well because he could really heat things up. So that's going to be the big thing to keep an eye with him with the pace. He's going to influence this race one way or another. So, pace wise, I do think he is a big time player. Final verdict for me. Hate to say it, for me, he's just not a play in this one. I like this horse a whole lot for a long time, and I have been disappointed with him for sure. It would be frustrating for me personally if the horse does show up and wins the Kentucky Derby, because I did think of him like that at one time. But I don't worry about the juvenile. That's just something that happens to all horses. You don't break well and things go awry. But I just haven't been real thrilled with the 2 races. Even the second place finish in the Bluegrass, it wasn't that great to me. So he's going to be a pass for me in this one. I do think he's going to heat up that pace if he does what he's supposed to do on paper. And so he will play a factor in this race if he does that for sure. All right, guys, that'll do it for this Horse Capsule, we'll be back with more. Make sure to stay tuned to the channel for more Kentucky Derby updates as we go along. Hit that like button if you like the video. Subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, stay tuned to the channel for more Kentucky Derby news.